Transitioning from a career in armed forces to the field of human resource offers veterans a compelling pathway to capitalize on their unique skills, leadership experiences, and dedication to service. With a background steeped in teamwork, discipline, and adaptability, armed forces veterans bring a wealth of transferable skills to HR roles, making them valuable assets to the organizations seeking to cultivate diverse and resilient teams. Embracing the principles of HR allows veterans to continue their commitment to supporting and empowering others, while also embarking on a fulfilling and impactful civilian career path that aligns with their values and expertise. Hi, I am Group Captain Manish Sharma, an Indian Air Force veteran, having served the organization in various capacities including HR, General Administration, and Finance for 35 years. I have now started a financial consultancy where we guide individuals on management of personal finance, including investment, risk management, and compliances. We also provide risk management, compliances, and accounting services to businesses as well. Today, with me is Lieutenant Colonel Mayur Ambasht, who is an alumni of the National Defense Academy and the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. He was commissioned into the 10th Battalion of the Mechanized Infantry Regiment in December 1999. He served in various appointments in field and peace, including a US mission in Sudan, commanded 200 troops with 30 tanks in the midst of an intense civil war in South Sudan. During his military career spanning 20 years, he has operated in Jammu and Kashmir, where he was deployed in intense counterinsurgency operations for 3 tenures. Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Africa. His career in Indian Army encompassed roles including operations, HR, training, administration, and financial management. He is an MBA from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies. He hung his uniform in February 2020 and has been employed as head HR, Hyosung TNS, since April 2020 in Mumbai. He has been instrumental in creating an efficient system and a conducive and happy environment for his team. Apart from being a committed HR professional, he is an avid blogger on social media and passionately espouses the cause of veterans hiring. He has successfully launched initiatives to organize and network veterans to further their placements and growth after their transition from boots to suits. He is a prolific content creator on social media and pursues reinforcing the brand veteran through these channels. Welcome, Lieutenant Colonel Mayur.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for that elaborate introduction.
There's a stereotype in the civil street about security domain being the go-to option for armed forces veterans. Did you face similar mindset when you set out to choose HR as a career option?
Definitely, sir. This stereotype very much exists. However, I would say that as years pass, as I have seen in the last 4 years and before that also, the stereotype is getting diluted as officers break different barriers and opt for more mainstream kind of roles in various companies related to operations, finance, real estate, marketing, and whatnot. The stereotype is gradually getting diluted and acceptability in various roles is gradually increasing as the evidence of successful transition into other roles is for there to see, for everyone to see. It is getting diluted so gradually. Yes, I face this stereotype too, but then I always felt that it is a decision more dependent on the individual than the environment to decide as to what stereotype would impact him and what would not. I took a conscious decision to opt for HR and focused on it in a very singular fashion. So I did not remember contemplating the administration and security domain. And since I concentrated on a certain thing, I did not opt for other options. So when a person forecloses the other options, the available options are very obvious. So I would recommend that to everyone, that irrespective of the stereotype, you decide your chosen domain first, focus on it, upskill in that particular sector, and then go for it. I don't think it should be a hampering factor in your decision.
Can you also elaborate what is the leadership structure within the HR department and how are HR responsibilities divided among various teams
Yes,
or
yes, sure.
units?
Firstly, before getting into the structure itself, let me explain the scenario of HR in the industry. The structure which you are asking about is not a uniform structure all over the industry. It depends on the domain which you are talking about, the industry which you are talking about, uh, whether it is a factory oriented setup or a blue collared, white collared people working under you. It's a large company or a small company. There are a lot of factors which decide the structure, firstly. So, if you talk of a textbook structure, I'll start top downwards. Under a CHRO of a large group of companies, there will be HR heads of different business units, and they would further have sub verticals under them headed by an individual each. These sub verticals can be talent acquisition, organizational development, compensations and benefits, thereafter employee engagement, employee relations, then learning and development, performance management, then even analytics can be a part of it. So all these form sub verticals headed by one person and a lot of staff, depending on the strength they are managing. If we talk of a conglomerate like Tata or Aditya Birla Group, this structure would be the thing that would be evidently visible in each business unit. Uh, so Tata Group at the apex would have a particular HR department, which would be fed in information and which would in turn control the HR departments of, say, Tata Steel or Tata Motors or Tata Finance or Tata Housing, something like that. Now coming to the other spectrum, other end of the spectrum, the smaller companies. In a smaller company, the number of people will be much less because the number of people to be managed is less. The number of HR personnel will also be less. So there would be a head HR, of course, but his staff would be lesser. These roles related to, say, talent acquisition and compliances may be handled by the same guy. So the staff would be lesser. Responsibilities will also be less. If I go into the extreme circumstance of a startup, these are bootstrapped people, and they really don't go for a lot of hiring which can be avoided. HR is the most likely field where hiring can be avoided. So they go in for outsourcing. So they have at the most 3 to 4 people in the HR department who basically coordinate the flow of info between the vendors and the company. And that is how the HR function is managed. So I hope I have given some clarity on the structures.
Yeah, correct. And also, you mentioned something, employee relations or managing employee relations as one of the HR role.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you elaborate into it? How does HR handle these complex, because employee relations are very complex issues.
Mhm.
And what is the general conflict resolution process which is adopted?
Sir, the employee relations and stroke IR, I would bunch both under the same head. These are issues which are more relevant in the labor intensive environment. Now, what happens is when you talk of places like Bangalore, Delhi, NCR, and Bombay for that matter, the environment is more corporate in nature. So, IT sector and non-manufacturing services sector, software, IT, these are places where employee engagement is the term more avidly used. than the employee relations. ER and IR is more relevant in the terms of factory setup, where the labor laws and industrial disputes come up, where you say that conflicts have to be resolved. So more relevant scenario for IR and ER is the factory setup. Now, how do we address it? So there is nothing except tact which is required. Maturity, tact, and a very thorough knowledge of compliance related issues. You cannot cross a certain line of legality. At the same time, you have to look after the interests of the organization, which are paramount. A certain decision which may end a particular conflict, but does not uh, give a very profitable outlook to the organization, is not seen as a successful solution to the conflict. You may end a strike, for example, but by giving in to certain unreasonable demands of the labor union, you may have actually eaten into the profitability of the company, which in long run, which may not be suitable for the organization. So that may not work. So as I said, and I reiterate, it is a mix of maturity and tact, and a lot of knowledge about the legal aspects of the conflict resolution part. That is what is required. In case of veterans, the maturity and tact doesn't lack at all. The only thing that is required to be upgraded is the legal knowledge about the labor law and the affiliated compliance related issues.
Okay, so that means to perform any complex function like you have in any other field, you have to be possessing the domain knowledge. So in HR
Absolutely.
also, there are certain aspects which have to be
Yes.
possessed, right?
Unavoidable. Unavoidable.
Okay. And so, how do you? What is the process you adopt to attract top talents, or I mean, the some kind of a recruitment study strategies must be used by companies to attract the talent, and how do you work out the compensation structures to be competitive within the industry?
There are two parts of it, sir. One is attracting the talent, and second is the retention of talent. Attracting the talent has got many components. Sir. First is the image of the company itself. If I list out, say, company A, B, C, D, which are very well known, I'm not naming any companies here,
Yeah.
you will immediately have a thought in your mind that these are good employers or bad employers. Because there is a mindset, there is a culture which has percolated through the use of social media, ex-employees' opinions, sites like Ambition Box and Glassdoor and whatnot. So there are ways and means to understand the cultural aspects of a particular organization today. So some companies which are very, very prominently in news all the time, their reputation is pretty well known. So for attracting the talent, that image has to be good. That is of paramount importance. Because today, it is a fact very well known that it is not the compensation which is of paramount importance to a candidate. It is the culture, the values, and the ethical environment which he is going to join. If that is acceptable to him, then he may join. Not only the money is not the only aspect. Let's be very brutally frank about it. And that image has to be created by judicious use of own employees' opinion, your policy framework, and of course the projection of that image to people outside, so that that image is a constant in the environment and which is seen for everyone to be seen, especially the freshers who are coming in, because they are the future of the company. That is one part. So that is attraction. Uh, it comes to compensation, of course. So yes, the compensation has to be benchmarked against the similar roles in the industry, and if it is generally in the correct bracket and slightly on the higher side also, so there are ways and means to attract the best kind of talent in the industry. Now coming to the other aspects of retention, as I pointed out earlier, the culture is very important. A very a very critical aspect is the probability of growth. Now, growth comes in two parts. One is the financial growth, and second is the career growth. A person looks at enhanced compensation. Of course, that is a must for everyone, not only to beat inflation, but to uh, we all know about the Maslow's hierarchy, and this is connected to that. Everyone understands. But when we talk of career growth, he's looking at enhanced responsibility, opportunity to upgrade and upskill himself, and a generous opportunity to build his own profile as a professional in that domain, to learn new things on new projects, given better chances of upskilling, leading people. All that is something that a candidate forwards to, that an employee looks forward to. That is important in giving a certain level of job satisfaction. It's a very vaguely used term, very loosely used term, but there is a lot of inputs that go into that job satisfaction. If that is in place, it's not a major issue for the HR to retain talent. Last but not the least, nowadays there are tools which help in predictive analytics. So based on the data of attrition in the past, today we have the capability with the help of analytics to preempt attrition and to predict by an analysis the correlation between a certain aspect of the company to attrition. So based on that, the policies are tweaked, policies are improved and upgraded, and retention is enhanced. So all these tools are used by the HR to retain talents. I hope I have addressed the query adequately.
Yeah, that's correct. So that means I'm sure you also must be dealing. I mean, HR also must be dealing with a lot of data when you talk about using such
Absolutely.
tools.
Yes,
So
yes.
I mean, I just wanted to check, know that data, that is HR data, whatever complex data it must be. Does it influence the strategic business decisions of any entity? And if yes, do you have any live example available with you which you can share?
Yes, sir. There are a lot of when I was doing MBA, we studied a lot about these aspects, and definitely impacts business decisions. There is no doubt about it. The HR strategy can actually change the course of businesses, because for if you take attrition, for example, it's a major factor in the functionality of a company. If you have say 25% of the employees of a company leaving every year, the company, to get its functions and operations stable, it's struggling because of the churn. Every year, one-fourth of the manpower is turning over. It becomes very difficult for training the new talent, getting them into the grid. There is a time lag, there is a cost involved. So it is involving money, effort, and that is definitely going to impact the business. So this data is very precious, and today HR analytics is a branch in itself, which helps either in-house capabilities are there with companies, or there are consultancies which provide these services to give insights into the data of uh, the company, which the data the company has, but it has not analyzed it in a particular fashion. So that is what the analysts do. As far as examples are concerned, I remember one example of this famous company called Experian. So they used predictive analytics to their benefit. They had a very high attrition rate, at least 4 or 5% higher than what it should have been, and that was impacting their bottom line in a major fashion. So what they did was that they started using predictive analytics. They started predicting the departure of their employee at least 3 to 4 months in advance. The moment there were certain events noticed in the life cycle of an employee, the system used to tell them that this guy is going to leave after 4 months. Take preemptive action. So if the guy was considered an asset, they would immediately connect with him and take measures to ensure that his departure is checked in time. That impacted their business positively. Their attrition rate dropped, and they took off as a company in a big way. So there are many examples like that. I remember of case studies of Coca-Cola also. There are a lot of case studies. People, if they want to refer to them, it's available on open source for people to understand. It is a fact of life today. Analytics and data, as people say very commonly, that data is the new oil. So it is a rich resource which we all have, but like oil, it is of no use unless and until you decide to drill it and refine it. So that data has to be extracted, tabulated, cleaned, refined, and then utilized to fuel the growth of company like oil runs the economy of countries.
If I have to conclude, I would sum up saying that transition from military service to a career in HR, it offers us armed forces veteran an exciting opportunity to leverage the unique talents and experiences which we have in service, organized for the organization's success and employees' well-being. By embracing the principles of HR and capitalizing on their leadership skills, we veterans can make a meaningful impact in fostering inclusive workplaces, nurturing talents, and driving organizational growth. As we embark on this new journey, Armed Forces veterans can take pride in knowing that their dedication to service continues to resonate in their civilian careers, shaping a brighter future for themselves and the organization they serve. Thank Lieutenant Colonel Mayur Ambastha for taking his time out and giving such a valuable insight to the complex world of HR. I am sure the viewers will immensely benefit with such value inputs. Thank you very much, Mayur. Thanks a lot.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind.